All right. Hello. So I'm going to do my project on mindfulness meditation, and my name is Dagny. And so to start us off, I want to do a little thinking exercise. So I want you to think about your drive home from work, and I want you to think about everything that you can remember about it. I want you to think about what musics you listened to, how it made you feel. Did you see anything interesting? I don't know, how did the brake and the gas feel on your foot? Was your sock messed up? What do you remember from your drive home today? And if you are like lots of people, you will not remember very much because, especially when we are doing things that we do a lot, we kind of go into autopilot. I know in my drive home this afternoon, I was thinking about doing this project, so I was not really focusing on anything. And I had the windows down. It was a beautiful day, and I wasn't focusing on that. I was focusing on what I needed to do. I was focusing on picking up my brother. And so that is kind of anti-mindfulness. That is an example of what not to do. And but we are going to learn more about it, and then we're going to talk about what we could do on even just our daily drive home that could make us more mindful and have really good benefits for us. So to start, we need to decide what mindfulness is. So mindfulness it's here and now. That's, if there's nothing else you're going to get, it's the here and now. It is focusing on the present in a non-judgmental and accepting way. And these focuses can be on internal or external sensations. You can think about your thoughts, your feelings, or you can think about the way your body feels, the way things are touching you, your smells, your hearing, things like that. And the two big things that go into mindfulness are attention and acceptance. And I'm going to talk about those a little bit more now. So, attention. Attention is what it sounds like. It's focusing on what's happening right now. And that's the right now part is what's hard. It's not what did just happen or what is going to happen. It is what is happening in the moment right now. And so that can be about your breath, how you're breathing right now, how things are touching you, how your body feels. Do you feel sore? Do you feel like a tightness in you? What thoughts are coming to your head? Are you worried? Are you sad? Are you happy? What feelings? Everything like that. And then that is when the acceptance part comes in. And this is going to be the more difficult part. It is not judging what you're having attention to. And so you're going to observe what's happening with you and what's happening in the world around you, and you're not going to judge. You're not going to say, oh, this is making me sad. That's bad. How can I fix it? You're going to note it, and then we're going to note it, and then we're going to let it go. We're not going to react. We're not going to respond. We're not going to dwell. And so this obviously doesn't seem like it should be too hard, but obviously is much more difficult in practice. And before we go on to the different ways of practicing it, I want to talk a little bit about the history of mindfulness meditation. So mindfulness and meditation have roots in Eastern traditions and religions like Buddhism, Taoism, and Hinduism. Thus, they have been being practiced for thousands of years. However, it is not until recently that there has been a very big push from psychology and the counseling and things like that to make it scientifically proven, if that makes sense. So the first big push into the scientific method for mindfulness to see how it holds up in counseling was by Dr. Jon Kabat-Zinn, and he created mindfulness-based stress reduction in 1979. And since him, there has been a lot of more interest in the scientific method and mindfulness meditation. And so I just kind of put some data down about randomized controls trials. So between the years of 1995 and 1997, there was only one randomized control trial about mindfulness meditation. There was 11 between 2004 and 2006, and between 2013 and 2015, there was 216. So obviously this is a field that is growing and has a lot of interest, and it also has a lot of history and a lot of people who support it. And so now people are trying to find the scientific basis and make sure that it's an evidence-based practice for us to implement in our practices. So if you look at the National Health Interview Survey, I also thought this was really cool. It's talking about the number of U.S. adults that are practicing mindfulness, and that has risen from 7.5% in 2002 to 17.3% in 2022. And so again, this is just something that is increasing in interest, and a lot of people are really intrigued by. So let's talk about the two main kinds of interventions that are done with mindfulness meditation. And so the first one is mindfulness-based stress reduction, which is the same one we just talked about, that was created in 1979. It is an 8-week program in which there are weekly classes, which are between 2 hours and 2.5 hours long. And then there is daily homework, which it said was about 45 minutes. And then it said there's often a 1-day retreat in which they learn a lot of stuff about being mindful and everything like that. And obviously there are ways that this has been edited and changed to fit, mostly for time, to fit different environments and things like that. And then there was also mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, which is kind of the mixture between mindfulness-based stress reduction and cognitive behavioral therapy. And so that one is also very interesting. And so within these two kinds of interventions, there are different kinds of meditations. There are formal meditations and informal meditations. And so formal meditations are what you're going to think of when you think of a therapy session. These are what you think of when you're like, what is the therapist leading the client through? And these are intended to increase awareness and the focus of the client. And then there are informal meditations. These are the things that the client might do as homework, or you even outside of your therapist life, or even now, could do in your daily life, just in general, that are focused on coming back to the here and now. They're intended to refocus you and relax you and just get you back into touch with yourself and what's going on right now. So there are plenty of formal meditations. And the first one I'm going to talk about is body scans. And body scans are kind of cool. You can start from head to toe or toe to head. And you just basically go up the body and talk about, like, noticing, do you feel any tightness in your ankles, in your knees, in your hips? Sometimes they have you move a little, see if that feels good, things like that. And then you have laying and sitting meditations. And these are when you kind of invite the client to find a comfortable position, which is a lot of times laying or sitting, and then you just have them find a comfortable place to put their hands and just have a comfortable place to be. A lot of times they close their eyes, especially for people who are newer to meditation, and you guide them through breathing, and you just focus on your breathing. And you also need to make sure that clients know that when they're doing these meditations and things come up, like thoughts or feelings, that they can just note them and then they let them go. They don't focus on them. They don't latch onto the fact that they keep trying to think about what they're going to make for dinner and things like that. And then there's also walking meditations, which I think this one was really cool, and I kind of want to do this one myself because I think it sounds it sounds really good for people who don't like to stand still. And so walking meditations is, you walk a short distance and you focus on walking. Instead of just the breathing, you focus on the footsteps, you focus on the breathing, you focus on what you hear and what you see. And I think this one was just a really lovely one, and I'm excited to try this one. And then there's also lake and mountain meditations, which were a variation of the laying and sitting meditations, in which you use guided visual imagery. And these were mentioned in our textbook, and these were basically talking about how you use a lake or a mountain to kind of exhibit the characteristics that you would associate with those landscapes. So like, a mountain is very big and strong, and a lake, it's said that it can remain calm even when there's like those ripples on the surface, but the overall lake is calm, things like that. And then lastly, for the formal meditations that I've listed here, we have compassion, and then also the loving and kindness meditation. And so these kinds of meditations are really focused on making you be kind to yourself, for lack of better words, and then also kind to other people. And so it really focuses on just kind thoughts about yourself and kind thoughts about others. And so this is what the meditations really focus on and structure on, and what they teach the clients to exhibit in their outside life. And so these kinds of meditations can also, so formal meditations, like we've said, they can be about breathing, and they can also be about statements. So like the lake and mountain and compassion and loving kindness meditations, those are more about statements where you really focus on like a phrase, like I am kind, or like I am strong, and things like that, in which the client really delves into that. And then there are informal meditations. And these are things that you can do by yourself and are just small changes that you can do anytime in your life. And you can do it like on breaks at work or just on the drive home, things like that. And so the first one sounds silly, but it's attention. And so it's just paying attention. So you can't be mindful if you're not paying attention. So that means you need to notice everything, like notice your senses and the sensations before you move on. So if you're eating something, don't just shove it in your mouth. Think of, oh, what does it smell like? What does it taste like? What does it feel like in my mouth? Do I like, how's it feel in my stomach? Is it sitting heavy? Is it good? Like, did I like it? Things like that. Or just even, I don't know, walking to your car in the morning. Don't just run out there. Feel, is it cold? Is it warm today? Is it humid? Is there birds chirping? Is the sun rising? Just be present in your own, and that, you know what, that's the next one. Be in the present. Don't not pay attention to your own life, and focus on being in the present. Don't worry, for lack of, this is kind of a silly term, but like, don't worry your life away. Focus on the now. Focus on what is happening to you right now, as opposed to what did happen to you or what could happen to you. And then there's obviously breathing. Even if you can't do guided breathing like you would do in a therapy session, just taking a couple deep breaths is good. And noticing your breathing is very good too for meditation. And then being kind to yourself. This goes back to the kindness and compassion meditation, in which you just focus on being accepting. Part of mindfulness is acceptance. And so a good way to practice that is just to be kind to yourself and to accept yourself in everything. And then there are a ton of apps, a lot of apps that are intended to help, that have meditations. There are YouTube videos. One of them was posted in our lecture, but I also watched a couple when I was studying for this, and they were nice. One of them actually put me to sleep. So like, there are ways that you can practice meditation, and that we could inform clients of, that they can do work outside of the session. Alrighty, so now we are going to talk about evidence. And so like I said earlier, there has been kind of like a boom in mindfulness meditation that is kind of, and if you like look at the news, there's lots of times like new, like how mindfulness can change the brain. And so it's kind of a big thing in like health and wellness, things like that, which it should be. It's pretty cool in my opinion. But there is a lot of evidence for it, but we also need to note that some of these things, especially ones that we just see on the news, if they're not from reputable sites, they might be making claims off of evidence that isn't good. It's said that there are a lot of studies that aren't super reputable, or didn't have a control group, they weren't randomized control, they just weren't, the best of the best. And so there was some claims that mindfulness could help with ADHD, or pain management, or heart rate, or blood pressure, sorry. And so it said that there were some evidence and preliminary results towards this. However, there was not enough significant claims. But these are some things that there were significant claims for. So for anxiety and depression, in 2018, there was a meta-analysis that involved over 12,000 participants, and it showed that mindfulness meditation was better than no treatment at all. So it was better than like the control group, and it was effective as other evidence-based treatments like CBT therapy. And then if you look at sleep and insomnia, a 2019 review of 18 studies showed that mindfulness meditation helped improve sleep quality compared to education-based interventions, and it performed just as well as CBT and exercise, which are also shown to be good uses to help for sleep. And then if you look at PTSD, there was a 2018 review of 8 studies in which 6 of those studies showed a significant reduction of PTSD symptoms. And then the U.S. Department of Defense actually created a trial in which they used 203 veterans, and they showed that mindfulness meditation was as effective as prolonged exposure therapy, which is the leading evidence-based practice for treating PTSD. And it also said that it had other positive impacts in their life and their mental well-being. And then also I thought this one was really cool. It was talking about cancer patients, and in a 2019 analysis of 29 studies, it showed that mindfulness meditations helped reduce distress, fatigue, sleep issues, pain, anxiety, and depression in cancer patients. And I thought that was really cool. It did, however, note that this was mostly done in women with breast cancer, so that does not mean that generalizes to everyone with cancer. So, but that is still obviously very cool and hopefully very interesting and promising results. And so these are resources that I think would be very helpful to hand out to clients in the future. And so this one on the left is just a handout, and it's basically just like what mindfulness is. It's like 2 or 3 simple ways to do it. It was very helpful. And then this was about a 5-minute video, and it was just really in depth. It was a good amount of depth about what mindfulness was, how to practice it, what are some ways you could do it. And I just thought it was really cool, and it would be worth watching. And so now back to our thought experiment. I want you to now think of some ways that you can be more mindful in just your drive home. I think tomorrow I'm going to try, it's supposed to be a nice day, I'm going to windows down. I'm going to pay attention to hear if I hear birds. I drive over a creek. I'm going to see if I can see the creek, if I can hear the water. I'm going to notice my hands on the steering wheel. I have a little cover on it. I'm going to, feel it be rough. I'm going to feel the air in my face. I'm going to listen to the music. I'm going to see if the car shakes with the beats or, whatever. Just lots of other things. And I am not going to worry about coming home and doing homework. I'm going to just enjoy my ride and not worry about my day at work, and hopefully just enjoy that 10 minutes that I can be, alone and pay attention to the world around me. And so I hope you can do that too. And I hope you learned some about mindfulness meditation, and here are my resources references if you are interested in any more. And thank you for listening. I'm looking forward to hearing y'all's presentations too.